to see you. How you doing, man?
We're
All
set, y'all.
right.
We're set. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, we ready. Let's do it.
All right, we are back. We are back with returning guest, Mr. Frank Sapon Jordan. Today is World Mental Health Day, ladies and gentlemen, and we will be discussing the topic of mental health. We also have Mr. Anthony Wright, the chef, who is going to be joining in with us today to discuss this topic. How are you today, gentlemen? How's everybody doing?
Feel
Doing
good.
great.
That's
Doing great.
good. That's good. That's good. I wanted to discuss the topic, mental health. We hear so much about it in the news, as far as how it affects relationships, our jobs, careers, entertainment, just our Black community overall. So I want to start off first talking about how do you feel that mental health affects relationships? Frank, you can go first and answer that question.
You want to know something without question. Blacks, we suffer probably more mental health issues probably than any ethnicity. And that's across the board, that's proven. And it does, affects relationships because, our experiences, historically, stem from trauma and violence.
Right. Right.
And that's, from a standpoint of talking, dehumanization, slavery, oppression, and still today racism. The overrepresented, Black men and Black women that's in prisons. And at the same time too, also it does, all of that, put in a bowl, all of that does affect relationships as well too, because everything that I just named, sometimes we as men and women, we bring that into a relationship, whether it's from where we live at, our jobs, even how we were raised, whether one parent home or both parent home, that has a lot to do with it, as far as relationship is concerned.
Right.
And a lot of our people, we don't address these things, the things that are uncomfortable to talk about. But sometimes you have to be uncomfortable, to be and to feel comfortable. And a lot of our people just don't address these things when you're in a relationship, which
Right.
has a great significance and a great, backlash, or it may have a great, significance as far as, bringing a relationship even forward, as far as problems are concerned.
Yeah, exactly. What's your take on it, Anthony, from the relationship standpoint, mental health?
Let's take a step and say, let me define it. Mental health, a person's condition with regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. And the mental health of America states that overall mental health conditions occur in Black and African American people in America at the same frequency in white America. Historical dehumanization, oppression, and violence, what Mr. Jordan was just talking about, against Black and African American people has evolved into present day racism, structural, institutional, and individual, and cultivates a uniquely mistrustful and less affluent community experience characterized by a myriad of disparities, including inadequacies, access to and delivery of care in the health system. Now, that all sounded real professional, but what it breaks down to is that every day as African Americans,
Right.
unlike any other race, we wake up clearly understanding that we have a weight on our shoulders.
Yes.
Every day we get up out of the bed by choice, we understand that we have to get the ball rolling. And the ball is always rolling uphill. We have to be twice as good as any other race. And it only takes for one instance for us to fail and or be looked at as if we are less than.
Exactly.
That is a major, major stigma that we have to carry on our shoulders. And to not say that we don't in some way have some type of stressful related psychological issue is absurd.
Yeah.
it shows every day in how we interact with each other also.
Right. I
Every
agree.
day, I mean, how I might talk to Mr. Jordan or how I might talk to you, Miss Regina.
Mm-hmm.
In most cases, all of that stress from all these different avenues,
Yeah.
and it is killing our relationships. Let me give you this statistic, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One in four women, 1 in 4 women will get married, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that amazing? Not 50% of our women will get married. 1 in 4 Black
Mm-hmm.
women will get married. The other 75%, the other three won't even think about getting married. In our community, our marriage rate is just a little bit, as far as divorce rate, is a little bit above 55%. It's actually going into 60%.
Right. Yeah.
Terrible,
Yeah. I can believe
terrible.
that. I can believe that.
Where have we lost our ability to communicate effectively, to find common ground with our fellow brothers, our sisters, and even with our own children? When did we lose this ability to interact properly in order to build strong relationships in our homes and in our communities?
Right. I mean, and I will say there is a breakdown right now. I don't know how many people can connect with that portion when it comes to talking about relationships. There's a breakdown in relationships right now, as you mentioned, the statistics as far as like the ratio as far as getting married. There's a breakdown there, first of all, as far as people getting married, trust, and as far as the woman and the man. So right there, that
Trust,
starts.
trust.
Whatever relationships, issues that they had before, that's going to be trauma right there. Two people coming in there probably already having issues from before. So that's going to be an issue time they even entertain the idea of being together. So as far as like the mental health piece, whatever they experienced in their past relationships, if both people have that trauma, they're dealing with it whether they talk about it or not. So
And
that's
bringing
something.
it forward.
Right. Exactly. So that's something to definitely consider when people even come together. Just like whatever they dealt with, like, I mean, it's such a vast topic to even discuss because not only are they dealing with whatever they dealt with in a past relationship, what about their childhood when they grew up, how they saw their parents interact,
Right, right.
their school interactions, their family interactions. Like mental health is extensive from childhood to adulthood, and just like whatever that thing is that still traumatizes that person, whatever they experience at whatever capacity with whomever they came in contact with. So that's everything that you guys are mentioning. It's extensive when you go back and look at our history, our Black history, and just how we are affected about, it's like far as like trying to make an impact in our careers and, become who we want to become. But like you said, we have to be twice as great. We have to constantly, prove ourselves, even though we know we're good and we're good enough to do whatever it is we want to do. So everything that you're saying is very true. I also want to discuss how it affects our careers, our careers, our jobs, and I guess like on the entertainment front. Like we had the issues with Shakari Richardson. She was dealing with some family loss in her family earlier in the year. Also, Naomi Osaka, she is a tennis player. She kind of withdrew and didn't want to do press releases. So I want to discuss it from that aspect as well. Frank, you can go again first.
Yeah, one of the things I know, and one of the things that both of you mentioned, which was very key. One key word that I think a lot of our people overlook is communication. We have to discuss what we want, what we don't want to discuss. I
Right.
think that amongst everyone, especially, in the Black families, we can't continue just to overlook or just to sweep certain, conversations up under the rug,
Under the rug.
Yeah.
because those very things can cause mental trauma, to
Right.
us
Exactly.
as adults, rather than had we spoke about it, Brother Anthony, Sister Rishawn, 20 years ago, it could have been fixed.
Yes.
The situation could have been fixed mentally. But if you're a kid and you have some deep, dark secret, whether it's something that you have a fear of public, you know, or you getting bullied in school that brings upon, you know, mental stress. Now you don't want to go to class because everyone's teasing you about the clothes that you have on, and that brings about a low self-esteem. Now, you know, you don't want to go to school because you don't have a certain, you know, genre about yourself, or you don't have on the latest fashion. So now kids are at home. Now they're making up excuses not to go to school now because they're going to get teased. You got a bully in the bathroom. Now he's shaking you down for your money. So these are all.
Let me tell you something. Just a couple of days ago, I saw a news feed where a young brother, high school, was bullied by multiple people. He was beaten, stripped naked at school.
That's
Can you
horrible.
imagine? Can you imagine that? But let me tell you what the young brother did. See, this wasn't a one-time occurrence. This is something that had been happening to him regularly, being bullied by these same individuals. This young brother had enough. He went to his car in the parking lot, got a gun out of his car, came back, shot the main bully and the other guy that had been tormenting him over the year at school.
See, that's the breaking point right there.
Now, let me just ask this question. Let me ask this question. What would promote, now I have nothing but sympathy and heartache for that young brother. You know, not only did he get abused and bullied, he took a life, and now that's on him. That's covering him also. But let me just go back and say this. What would promote an individual or individuals to prey upon another person in that way? What kind of emotional or psychological background would you have to have in order for you to think that doing these type of things to another person is acceptable or will make you feel a certain way or look a certain way in your current group of friends? I mean, it all stems from family, what's going on in the household. You know, but that, okay, now let me, again, I got to take a step back. That doesn't mean that some of these people don't come from relatively good households.
Exactly.
This isn't all from just broken households, people with single mothers or single fathers or a poverty background. Some of these individuals have good homes. And we have to take a look at these people and say, there's something seriously wrong with how you look at this world. And I think a lot of it comes from social media, the video game industry, how the video game industry portrays killing people in the act of shooting and dismembering bodies in a video game. They make it fun.
Yes.
Then these kids get, you know, I don't want to say brainwashed, but they become desensitized to this thing. You know, it becomes like, oh, it's just a video game. It's just a game. You know, and they may go through their lives looking at things this way. I mean, when I grew up, you know, I'm 51 years old. You go out on the street, you got outside and you played outside, right? And in your neighborhood, there were certain areas in your neighborhood that you didn't go to because you might get robbed. Don't laugh at me, Brother Jordan. I'm telling you.
Get shut down.
In Miami, there are certain areas. I grew up in a middle class neighborhood, but I also knew that in certain areas, even within that neighborhood, I didn't go to because of the dangers. I think the world has made it easy for kids to not understand the consequences of actions and the dangers of what this world truly holds.
I was going to say separating reality from fiction. I think in a lot of cases, like, that's how people get so caught up in social media. They looking at what they see on social media and TV. So it's like separating reality and fiction. And they'll actually try some they'll go ahead and try some stuff just to see the effect. Like, what will actually happen if I do this?
Hey, listen, both of you are right. And
Mhm.
listen, to your point, brother Anthony, listen, I grew up in Brooklyn in the projects, and let me tell you something.
Hey,
I've seen,
Brooktown.
listen, I've seen, bullies get bullied.
Mm.
And I've seen
Yeah,
some good people, people that didn't bother anybody get bullied. And the side effect from that is that, when you have people, that want, when you have kids that go to school, they want to get good grades, listening to their parents, and they get bullied in school, that brings about a depression. That
it
brings
Yeah.
about a
does. It
depression.
does.
Now
Yeah.
the school nurse, they want to call the parents up and talk to them. Now, you got, your kids being prescribed to depression meds, and that's a whole different story, in itself right there. And now you got your kids being prescribed, to depression meds, clonazepam, which we know that brings on more depression. That's a
More
different
issues.
topic for
Mhm.
a different day. That's a
Mhm.
different topic for a different day. But these are all relegated, like both of you said, which is very good points. This is what happens. Blacks, we got the highest rate of schizophrenia. The only thing
Yes.
that
Yes.
white Americans have a higher rate when it comes to the mental health is suicide rates.
Yeah.
Right.
We have a different
Absolutely.
way of handling things
Mhm.
when it comes to our problems, ongoing problems, that's
Aggression.
within our community and within our families. And once again, it starts within the home.
Mhm.
Even for the most sense, when you have someone that's getting bullied, that can go, either way. That can go, the wrong way, which you just gave a great example of, and that can go a way where, the kid retaliates with his fist. Now he's getting
Right.
accolades about himself. The person that was getting bullied, now he beat the bully up. Now he's the big bully on the block. Now
Right.
he's
Right.
doing the same
Right.
thing.
Exactly.
So where does it end?
Mhm.
Where does it end?
Mhm.
It ends with conversation and good communication.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And Brother Jordan, the family is key. Whether you're a single mother, a single father, or a two-parent household,
Right.
Mhm.
the conversation has to be had. The stigma that we as African Americans, Black people in America,
Right.
have to wash that away.
Right.
We need to have honest, open conversation, uncomfortable conversations that we don't like having
Right.
in order for us to reach another level of well-being, whether it be emotional, psychological, financial. Our mental health is the beginning and end of any success in our lives.
Right.
Any, whether it be financial, relationship wise, or
Mhm.
individual well-being, health. Our
Mhm.
psychological well-being is the beginning of that. And families have to, at a very young age with our children, sit down and have those conversations. Open the door for our children to come to us
Right.
and have the ability to tell us things that we might not want to hear.
Right.
Mhm.
There are a lot
Right.
of conversations that we don't want to hear,
Mhm.
but we have to have those conversations, like you said, Brother Jordan. We have to. It's important. A true story. My son, when he was in elementary, um, my son had always been a very, very studious young boy.
Mhm.
And I went to a parent teacher conference. I guess it was open house that night, right? And my son, we sat down, we were taking our turns with the teacher. My son told me he had to use the restroom. I said, cool, no problem. So he gets up and he goes to the restroom, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm taking it easy. And he's kind of taking longer than I'm expecting him to take in order to use the restroom. So I go look for him. And lo and behold, he's in the restroom, but there are three little ashy boys bullying my son.
Oh, wow.
I initially, listen, when somebody mess with my kid,
Right.
I turn into a straight monkey. Let me tell you that. All right.
As you
That's
should.
right.
Another thing.
That's
I
right.
tell you, I tell your tail at your friend.
That's
That's
But
right.
right.
I took a step back because I didn't want um to spank these children, because today you can't spank kids like you could back
Right.
in the day. You know, I
Right.
used to get whooped by I did something wrong. I got whooped by my next door neighbor. And then when they
Right.
told my mom, I used to get a whoop. Well, you can't do
Mhm.
that these days.
Yeah.
We don't have that kind of community, you know? But I snatched these little boys up
Mhm.
and I walked back into the classroom. I said, okay, so whose parents are these kids? And
Mm.
you know, these people raised their hands. I said, so these three boys are in the restroom bullying my son. All
Yeah.
right. Now, let me just say this so that all of you understand moving forward. If my son comes home with any marks on his body, knots on his head,
That's right.
cuts, anything, these three little boys and your parents, you are going to get it.
That's right.
I'm not
Absolutely.
taking it to the courts. I'm not calling the police.
Right.
I'm coming to see you.
That's
Sister.
right. That's right.
All right.
It is what it is.
You have to help your children know that you have their back,
Right.
no
Absolutely.
matter what the situation is. They have to
Right.
be able to come to you.
Yep,
We need
absolutely.
that open conversation and that trust. Miss
Mhm.
Regina, you said it. The trust, the understanding that I can count on my parents. I can
Absolutely.
count on my father. I can count on my mother
Mhm.
to be there for me.
Mhm.
And that's something that we have to definitely build.
Right. Your children's trust and their confidence come from the confidence that you instill in them. I'm the same way with my son. I have it to where anything he wants to talk about, even if he feels funny about it, talk about it. I never want him
Talk
to
about
feel that he can't open his mouth or he's scared. Like, scared for what? Speak. This is your voice. You speak and speak your truth and tell me what it is. And we talk about it. So whatever it is, we'll deal with it. I mean, that's very, very important to have your children. Because I mean, you definitely don't want them to grow up as an adult and they don't know how to assert themselves on a job or in business. That's
or
key.
express themselves.
Absolutely, that's very, very important. But I want to go back to the part that I mentioned as far as careers in entertainment. How do you feel like mental health affects entertainers and people in their working careers? Frank.
You want to know something that goes back to what you know, what I was saying is especially entertainers, because now society, that's who society is giving us, entertainers, to aspire and to look to,
Right.
to pretty much, put them on a platform for us to, emulate, I may
Yes.
say.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
you got to pick and choose. You got to pick and choose, because everything that you see is not really good for you. Especially in today, especially in
Yep.
today's society.
Mhm.
You have less affluent males and you have less affluent females,
Mhm.
that you can look at on TV and you can say, no. But the more that you see things in the entertainment, the more that you see things in the entertainment field, the more that they press it and the more that they promote it,
Mhm.
you may not have, thought, you may have thought that was terrible, brother Anthony,
Right.
last week. I'm not, that's terrible what that guy is doing over there, the way what
Exactly.
he has on, and he has on woman's attire, and
Right, right,
that's just
right.
terrible. But I'm gonna tell you like this: the more that they promote it, the more that they put it out on the airwaves, it starts to become part of the norm,
Accepting of it.
accepting, and it desensitizes your normality,
Yeah.
of
Exactly.
morals. So it's one of those things where, me personally, as far as like entertainment and in the workplace, you have to separate the two, and you really, really, really have to really, if you have kids at home, you got to take that time and you got to sit down with your kids and you got to explain to them the difference between what's immoral and what's moral. And you got to
Absolutely.
always give really good examples, and don't let society critique and bring their influences into your good valued
Into
home.
your
Into your
Okay.
good.
And
home.
you
Absolutely.
accept, okay,
That's
and you
true.
accept their ways, and you accept their ways of thinking. Now you
Mhm.
got a kid, now you may have a kid now, that's, he may be looking in your closet,
Mhm.
Sister Sean,
Yeah.
for certain articles to wear. And
Mhm.
good
Right,
and well
right.
that's not normal, but society would have you think, and society would have you curtail and say, well, let them be what they want to be. It's nothing, it's nothing wrong with that. Maybe it's something wrong with you, Sister Reshawn. The kid is just,
Mm,
being who he want to be. Me
Yeah.
personally, as a Black man in America, I got a problem with that. I
Yeah.
mean,
Right,
personally
right.
speaking, me personally, I got a problem with that, brother Anthony.
Mhm.
I
Right,
don't
right.
want my son coming back to me, telling me that, hey, let's go to Saks Fifth Avenue and let's look at the latest dresses I want to wear to my prom. Me personally, as a Black man in America, I have a problem with that.
Right.
Because me personally, that's very immoral. And
Mhm.
Right,
and
right.
and for the media and for entertainment to try to push that into our household and us to accept that, that's totally wrong. That's
Yeah.
inflammatory,
Yeah.
flagrantly just wrong,
Yeah.
and that's a different topic for a different day as well too. But I think that entertainment, most entertainment, not all, most entertainment plays a huge part, okay, on mental health.
And how we see ourselves,
Yes,
how
absolutely.
we see ourselves,
Right.
Absolutely.
and how it influences us. And Brother Jordan, you are not wrong. There needs to be a standard that's set.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right now, let me just say this. People want to say this and that about homosexuality in its forms, right? This is what I say about homosexuality. Whether you're born a certain way or it's something that someone manipulated onto you, as a father in my house, I can respect how you feel about certain things. But in my house, this is how it will go. These are the standards.
That's right.
If you're a young man, born a man, you're going to dress like a man.
That's right.
All right? If
Yeah.
you're a young lady, a woman, you're going to dress like a young lady, a young woman. All right. Now, with that being said, once you leave my house and you pay your own bills, then you can dress like you want to, and you can act the way you want to. Because as a father, I have given you the guidance that I should have given you, set a standard for you in order for you to say, this is who I am and this is who I am not. Okay. That's
Mhm.
fine.
Mhm.
Your decision, I will respect it wholeheartedly. But in my house, the bills I pay, the food I put on your table, and the electricity, and let me just say it like my grandfather would say it, my electricity
Electricity.
that I pay in this here house, you will respect my standards, my rules,
Right.
how I run things in my house.
Yeah.
If you don't, you are more than welcome to leave. It's
Yeah.
as simple as that. While you're under my roof, this is where it's at. This is how it's going to work. This is how it's going to be. When you
Yeah.
leave my house, then then you can run your show.
Mm.
Um, the stars, especially our music stars, have been over the years putting out such a morally corrupt ideology in their
Right.
music,
Right. That's right.
especially for young women. Go out there, have sex, act like a man. You can have sex like a man, robbing men, doing like, what is that? Like,
Yeah.
who thinks that should be something we should have on our radio and
Right.
something that our children should be listening to?
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Corruption. We are being manipulated. We are being used as an experiment so that they
Mm.
can see how it affects us. And it's affecting us because more and more of our young women are so sexually active.
Right.
It
Right.
is crazy. Now, I'm not saying that they're more sexually active than when we were. What I am saying is it is much more visible, especially with social media. Making videos of themselves with not just one partner, but multiple partners. It is an epidemic. Some bus drivers can tell you that 12-year-old girls performing oral sex on the bus going to school in the morning.
Yep.
What is wrong? Something is broken.
Right. But you know what the thing of it is? That's what entertainment is in most cases, especially
Manipulation.
nowadays. manipulation, but that's what sells, sex. That's
It's
why you
sex
have the
sales.
Instagram models. That's why you got, the ladies on Facebook, with everything out.
Ah,
It's not covered up. So I mean, but see, that's what they're promoting. They're promoting sex because sex sells. And if you're showcasing that, that's the selling point right there. But then when your kids, your daughters, they get a hold of it, they think that's what sex is. Maybe that's how I'm supposed to look. And that's not
it's
the
terrible.
case. Because the price that those ladies pay to get to the top, how many of our men approach them? If you want this, what are you willing to do for me? They have no idea. That's where the whole mental health thing starts right there. Because what price are you willing to pay to get to the top of how many people you have to sleep with? And then when you
And how
finally
it
get
affects
there,
you.
how
Oh,
can you even enjoy your success? Because you did all this stuff because you wanted this and you thought that's what it took to get there. All
and
that
how
stuff
it
plays on your
affects you.
mental.
And,
Yeah,
and how it affects you, and how you
yeah,
see men now, and how you see
yes,
relationships now.
all
It
that.
is amazing that, I'm so glad that you said that, because
Yeah.
that definitely, so many, I mean, we back in the day, people used to talk about in corporate America, women sleeping to get to the top. Nowadays, women are sleeping to get likes, to get likes on social media, to get clout, putting that kind of information out about themselves. Bad news is good news sometimes for them.
Yep.
Such a broken thought process. And
Yeah.
and you mentioned one person in social media and in the news recently, Sha'Carri Richardson.
Yeah. Yep.
And let me say something about that young woman.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think she has the right people in her camp.
Right. Yeah.
I don't
Exactly.
think I don't think her initial background is bad, but I don't
Mm-mm.
think she got the structure she needed growing up.
Hmm.
And now I don't think that she has the right kind of people in her camp to tell her, listen, how you're doing things isn't painting a good picture of you.
Right.
How you act
Exactly.
in social media is giving a negative image of you that will undoubtedly follow you for quite some time.
Hmm.
And currently, you need to clean that up. You need to get that together, because guess what? Let's say you don't win any more races. Let's say uh you take a big old poop and it don't work out the way you think it's going to work out.
Yeah.
Moving forward, you are a dud. You are a dud that everybody can easily dislike because of how you portrayed yourself on the media and in social media.
Right. That's pretty huge. That's very, very huge.
It's
I
huge.
think you're right. Yeah. I think we hit on it a little bit already, but I just want to make sure we cover all our bases as far as how mental health affects the Black community, men and women. I guess, like, what would the effects be on men? What would the effects be on women? As we can separate a little bit, talk about both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, how it affects men, you gotta look at it, in a wide scope as well, too. You gotta look at what's offered out here, to
Hmm.
Black men,
Yeah.
growing up, in, maybe low, income housing, and maybe middle class as well, too.
Hmm.
Affluent, again, affluent people that's around us, has a great I would say probably maybe scope, or has a great, influence on us. And that's very, 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 very helpful. But if every day, if you walk out of your community and you got guys downstairs, they're smoking weed and they're talking about robbing people,
Right.
Hmm.
and talking about cutting school, and, you're crazy for going to school, that's all peer
Hmm.
pressure. Peer pressure also is part of mental health as well, too.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just to fit in,
Right.
as a young
Just to
Black
fit in.
man or a young Black woman, just to fit in, with people of your peers, so you won't be teased, as
Right.
well, too. That's hard. That's a hard thing to do, growing up, especially in Brooklyn, like I was as a kid. You had the guys that was downstairs, playing, LL Cool J and Rakim, from
Rolling
morning.
dice.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Make it clap to this from morning, all the way to night when you came back from school, and you
Mhm.
literally would get teased,
Right.
coming back inside the building by certain people. You would get teased for using certain words, and they would say you're talking white or you want to be white.
Right.
All of
Yeah.
that, all of that goes, hey, brother Anthony, all of that goes into a mental health, issues, because now you feel that you shouldn't talk properly. Now you feel
Yep.
that you shouldn't carry yourself a certain way because you're going to be teased. So now
Yep.
what you have to do now, you got to make a choice. You got to say, okay, well, do I continue to be teased for the next 4 or 5 years, me living here, or do I have to dumb myself down just to fit in? Do I
Just to
talk
fit in
Right.
so nobody
less
messes with you.
intelligent? Do I talk less intelligent? Do I
Mhm.
carry less books? Do I have less conversation with certain people? Because these are the people, and you got to take a look at the people who's saying it, for one thing.
Mhm.
Okay, you
Right.
got to take a look at the people who's saying it, for one thing. And at the same time, too, now here's where the conversation comes in at, that you have to have with good moral standing people. If you don't have
Mhm.
good moral standing people that you can go to, a neighborhood dude that has done well for himself, or maybe one of your friends has a big brother or big sister that has done well for themselves, and they can pretty much talk you back and they can pretty much balance everything out. If you don't have that outlet like that, 9 times out of 10, you're going to look for the answers on social media. You're
Yep.
going to look for the answers, in all the wrong places, brother Anthony. And
Mhm.
most I forbid, you look for it in gang territory. Now
Yep.
you got
Right.
gangs that's
Right.
showing you love,
Mhm.
and you don't receive that love at home. You don't receive
Right.
that love in school. You don't receive that love nowhere else. So now you got gangs showing you love. And so that's a different story in itself right there, because you got to look at the outcome of everything that you do in life. There's always an outcome. If you're
Yes.
smoking weed, what is the outcome of that? 9 times out of 10, you smoke it long enough, you're going to get lung cancer. You just may
Mhm.
terminate yourself,
Right.
before your time. But you got
Right.
to look at everything that you do, and you got to look at the long-term effects behind it. So
Mhm.
when and like you said, Sister Rishawn, a lot of things that kids and adults that we face every day, the conversations that we didn't have. Hey, brother Anthony, why do we have some men that's 50 years old still calling themselves OGs and Crips and Bloods? Why is that? Someone should have had, and talking about gang banging, 50 years old, you still talking about gang banging, you still doing a certain dance, and somebody didn't have a conversation, brother Anthony and Sister Risha,
Right.
with
Right.
these people when they were young. You understand what I'm saying?
It's the mentality though.
Some men
It's
don't
mentality.
graduate to that
Right.
next level.
That part.
And
That's it.
and
That's it.
to talk on that point that you made earlier, Mr. Jordan, about, it's our own people that
Right.
stress us out. Our own people who talk, make you feel uncomfortable about educating yourself,
Right.
having a different mindset, being creative.
It's
You
not
know,
cool to be smart. It's
it's
not
not
cool.
cool to be
It's not
smart.
cool to be smart.
It's not cool to be able to be creative and play the cello or the violin.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To be a mathematician. You know what I'm saying? Or to be on the debate team, or to be on
Mhm.
the chess team. It's
Right.
not cool. Oh man, what's
Right.
wrong with you, man? You trying to act like what?
Right.
You
I'm
gonna
so
get your tail
glad.
acting like that around here. You gonna get your tail whipped at what? It's brother. Believe me when I tell you. I had a Jewish thing. I went to a pretty much almost all white school growing up, and I had a Jewish friend by the name of David Zimmer. He was the only cat my parents would let me go spend the night over. I couldn't spend the night over anybody in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? But life was completely different whenever I went over his house. I saw things differently, the way their conversation, the things they talked about. And
Mhm.
we have to help our young people. It starts with our young people and giving them that outlet.
Mhm.
Brother Jordan, you are absolutely right. These grown men who are still walking around talking about Crips, Bloods, gangs, and stuff like that. Some are trying to help the younger generation,
That's correct.
and some are stuck.
Right.
Right.
Some have
Absolutely.
not graduated,
Yeah.
to that next level of understanding, that next level of I have been successful, I have made it to a certain level. I should be helping the younger generation to make it to this next level also, instead of
Mhm.
propagating that same idea in our communities. It is tough for a woman, a young woman, or a young male in our community to be different, to think different, to have outlets in different areas and not be treated like a an outcast,
Right.
Yeah.
especially young men and for young women, if they're not doing or dressing like the other young girls,
Right.
Mhm.
they are catching it. They are
Exactly.
catching it, you
I'm,
know?
yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned everything that you mentioned, because that's what it feels like. It's frowned upon if someone Black does have mental health issues. Like it looks like it's a stereotype within our own community. Like we're not supposed to go to psychologists. That's what white people
Right,
do.
right, right, right. Why you going there? Don't you talk
Yeah,
about
we
you going
Black,
there?
we cool, we hard. Ain't nothing gonna happen to us. Well, yeah, it is. That's
Don't
why
don't let
you
nobody know. Don't let nobody know. Cousin Clara going to that therapist.
exactly. It's frowned upon. Like we're not supposed to
Come
be
on
like
now. Come
anyone
on now.
that's white that will immediately go to a life coach. They'll go to a psychotherapist or a psychologist or whatever because they know that something's wrong and they're trying to get help. It's like it's a stereotype within our own Black community that we're not supposed to have to deal with anything like that. When in reality, any traumas that you've had, you should go get them synced about.
You should
You should go
go
get
get.
yourself checked out, right?
Go
Life
talk to
coaches,
someone.
your church,
Go
whatever it
talk to
may
someone.
take, right? Go and get that thing worked on, because if you, we're always constantly interacting with one another. And so every interaction, every friendship, every relationship, you want to nip those things in the bud. So when you do move on to your next relationship or friendship, you're gonna know how to handle those situations instead of being someone that can be a hothead and snap off, go off, and
Mhm.
say things that you probably would have never said before. But if you understand how to, handle yourself and how to, take a step back and really reason and pay attention to certain situations or whatever, you can approach it differently. Everything doesn't have to be an explosive moment or go off.
And also know your triggers.
Yeah,
And know
that right
where
there
you
triggers. Absolutely.
know
Yes.
where you struggle in order to
Yes.
say,
That's
okay,
it.
hold up. Let me
That's
take a
it.
step back.
Right.
Let me take a step back. Let me regroup. You
Hmm.
have to learn where you are. What is your weak points?
Right. Absolutely. That's the whole
You know,
purpose in
and
going to having life coaches and your church or whatever. You have to learn what those triggers are. The main thing is learning yourself, because
right,
everything isn't always someone else's fault.
right.
Right. Right.
Refresh yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Refresh
absolutely.
yourself.
Right.
Renew yourself. Give yourself an opportunity to win. Because my grandfather, God rest his soul, Mr. Melvin Wright, this
Mhm.
man um, could barely read, but was a successful businessman. And he told me, he said, he very he very seldom used my name whenever he was giving wisdom. He used to always say, "Boy, success isn't always because of what you do and what you don't do.
Mhm.
Sometimes your success is stopped because of the people you have in your surrounding.
Mm, mm, mm. Absolutely.
Have the right kind of people in your surroundings. Associate yourself with the right kind of people so that
Mhm.
when you need that that mental push, that pat on the back, that maybe a kick in the behind, these people will say, "No, brother, that's the wrong way to do it," or "No,
That's right.
sister, this is how you should do it because this will help you out." We
Absolutely.
need that. We need to help each other. We need to be more open to having criticism because we need that. We need to know where we're falling short
Right.
constructively,
Mhm.
constructive criticism, the
Mhm.
proper type of criticism, and we need that push in the back. Sometimes we need a kick in the behind.
Yeah.
We need those things.
Yeah.
Right.
That's love. That's love.
Right.
That's love. That's
Right.
family love. That's friend love. That's my cousin love. That's
Mhm. Right. That actually goes into my next question as far as like bringing awareness into the Black community about mental health. Some of the pointers that I actually got that I actually, looked up in Google, they were saying, talk to people that you know. And kind of goes back to what I said earlier. A lot of times, like in our Black community, is stereotyped like we shouldn't have anything wrong with us. Like maybe a lot of people don't have that certain person that they can go to and talk to about it. Also, like being open about your experience, that still goes in line with, you know, having someone that you can feel
Mhm.
comfortable with to tell, you know, what you just experienced. Because a lot of times when talking about something, people don't understand from your perspective. They're understanding of in their perspective what they've experienced. So if they don't know anything about that, they're not going to be easy to understand what you're talking about, how it affects you. That's why they have licensed psychologists. That's why they have licensed life coaches to talk about those types of things. It also mentioned, you know, getting educated about it, you know, just becoming aware. And I think a lot of times in our community and maybe in some other communities, we're closed-minded a little bit on certain things. Like I said, in our community, like, oh, you shouldn't have to go to a psychologist. Well, things happen to you like they happen to anybody else. Why not? And I
Right.
mean, especially the one thing I would definitely say is important when you begin to see how your relationships are being handled. And if it's a number of them and the same things keep happening, you need to go check on some things. And it's not everybody else's fault.
Because the common denominator is you.
Right.
Right. And you know, having that so it's difficult sometimes to
Yeah.
talk to people that you know, especially as adults, because
Right. Right.
you know, the unfortunate side is if you open up and you spill something or give people a look into what personally is giving you issue,
Mm-hmm.
the unfortunate side of that is many times, not many, let's say
Yeah.
sometimes, it's used against you.
Mm. True. That
It's
is true.
weaponized. It's
People are afraid
weaponized.
of that.
Having
Right.
that objective point of view, having that person that is getting paid to keep your secrets,
Right.
to listen to you, to give outlet is a very good thing, because sometimes some information you can't tell people. Some information you can't
You
tell
can't
people.
tell. They say never tell everything.
You
Right.
can't tell people because again, it can be weaponized. And we've
Right.
seen that more often than not
Use
in
against
social
you.
media where
Yeah.
personal information was weaponized and put out there and used against you to either blackmail you or to get likes on social media. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
mental health, having those open doors, having that outlet, having friends that are willing to say, you know what, I don't know if this is something I should be listening to, but it's important that you find someone or have someone that you can talk to about this subject.
Right. Absolutely.
I don't feel comfortable talking to you about this. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and I love you, so I will help you find somebody to talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And let me say this also, and you know, one thing our people have to do, they have to stop being afraid and, you know, of being who we are. You know, we can only relate to ourselves. And what I mean by
right?
that is this, is that you know, you have psychologists out here. I'm pretty sure you got Caucasian psychologists out here
Right.
that's excellent and dynamic in their field, but we can only relate to one another. You know, if you come from an African American household, you know, try to find an African American psychologist, you know, or therapist
Yeah.
that can
Someone that
relate
can
to
relate.
your problems. Okay, that
Mm-hmm.
can relate to your problems. You
Mm-hmm.
know, by and large, you know, a white psychologist to me, it wouldn't be the best fit or the best choice if I had a problem or my son had a problem. I want someone that looks like me. Okay, I want
That
someone
you
that
can
has
identify with.
someone that can
Mm-hmm.
relate, okay, to what I am going through and what my kids are going through. Because if you bring your kids or you bring yourself into an office and you have someone else that's there that's evaluating you and have you sitting on the couch, you know,
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10 they can't relate, okay, and they're not going to give you the best fit or the best answer because, you know, quite frankly, they haven't been through what we've been through. And I'm not, hey, listen, I'm not my tongue, hey, listen, I'm not scared to say it. Okay, you know, it's just not the best fit. If you go to a African American psychologist that has lived what you've lived and has been through what you've been through, and now they're at a professional level, okay, where they're actually, you know, just pretty much giving their professional advice and giving you that is the best people to go to. If you go to anyone else, 9 times out of 10, not saying everyone, they may not be able to relate to your problems because
Mhm.
they haven't been through the same thing. Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and those are facts. Those are facts. That's the reason
Those are
why
facts,
history
brother.
class, I failed history class, brother Anthony, believe it or not, because my history teacher, I couldn't relate to George Washington and Benjamin Franklin because he wasn't teaching anything about my people. So that made it extra boring. Okay.
right,
And I wanted to hear
right.
things about what we did. And one thing you did mention, brother Anthony, I'm gonna put this out here too. You said something about the cello, and this is going off a little bit. You said something about it's not cool to play the cello and the guitar or something.
Right, right,
A brother by the name of Robert Fleming actually invented the guitar. We invented string instruments. So
right.
how cool is it to tell your kids and introduce your kids to what we've done? George Washington Carver, the greatest
Mhm.
Black scientist
Yes,
on this planet. Okay.
yes.
Look, I had a conversation. I kid you not. It was a young lady. She was a teenager. I had saw her at a community center. This was like about maybe 2 months ago. And
Mhm.
she was on a cell phone. And I said, a Black man invented the cell phone, guy by the name of Samson. And she just looked at me and she kept on with the cell phone. And so I kid you not,
Caught you
like,
off guard that you didn't listen.
yeah, Nicki Minaj is more important.
Right,
Right.
right.
So,
Right.
right. What she's talking about is more important. Right.
Mhm.
So later on that day, her mom came and picked her up, and her mom was doing something on her GPS. I said, "Hey, do you know a Black woman by the name of Gladys Mae West invented the GPS?" Both of them looked at me like and it's amazing because it was like, who cares? But
Yeah.
it's
You
just
dropping these little
amazing.
jewels, and it's like, so
Yeah,
crazy.
right.
It's crazy. It's
That
crazy.
means they're really not interested in like knowing that,
Crazy.
but it would be so helpful if we actually, educated ourselves and went researched and found out this information. That's why I'm
To
saying
be
it's
able
like a lot of things are like stereotype. Like it's
Mhm.
not like you said, it's not cool to like know certain things. Like I don't care about that. It's not important to me, but you should know it.
the ability to look at yourself and be
Mhm.
proud,
Mhm.
be proud to say, I am a Black man or a Black woman, and I am great. I
Mhm.
come from greatness.
Right.
You know, we affect this world in so many different ways. I
Right.
mean, how strong would your mental health be if you had that kind of positivity
Mm-hmm.
coming
it.
down, just flowing off into you? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'd be in a much better place. But the unfortunate side is, as much as we influence the world does not allow us to see ourselves as positive as we should. And as African Americans, it
Mm-hmm.
is our responsibility to ourselves to take back our image, to take back our self-worth, to
Right.
take back how we see ourselves,
Yeah.
and to start promoting our own narratives and not letting people tell us who and what we are by using magazines, social media,
Mm-hmm.
and our own music against us. Our mental health, our self-esteem, our self-awareness
Yep.
will be much better.
I totally agree with you. I mean, that's my main purpose for doing urban beats. I want my people to be painted in a better. I want
Light.
us to be right in a better light. I definitely want that to be the case because so many times in media, social media, we're painted in a bad light. We are painted as if we're ignorant, we're not educated, we don't know anything, and that's so far from the truth.
Right.
I mean, we are right.
Right. Black history just didn't start with the network BET. I tell young kids that all the
Absolutely.
time.
Absolutely.
What you see on BET is not the origin, or is not the prominent, genius of Black people. I
Right.
tell them that
Absolutely.
all the time.
Right. It's definitely important for us to have platforms that actually, showcase us in a positive light. How far we've come from all the things that oppressed us to where we are now. So that's, like I said, that's my whole drive for doing everything that I do, because I know that we're all that and then some. And I'm going to keep pushing to do what I do and take it to the next level so we can continue to push our agenda to put us in a positive light.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what used to kill me back in the 80s, when people actually watched the news, and the television was the main source of news viewing. It used to eat at me, even in my early teens, to watch the news, and then something happened in a Black community, and they got the dustiest looking
Worst
Black
one.
person in the crowd
Still
to
do it.
explain what
Yeah.
happened. And it would they would honestly portray us like some uneducated, poorly thought out, poorly dressed bunch of vagabonds.
Yeah. Yeah.
It killed me.
Yeah.
Right.
But we can take that back. We can take that
Right.
back.
Right, exactly. I mean, we definitely gotta keep, pushing our agenda to, paint ourselves in a positive light and, hopefully maybe help those that don't know how to do that, teach them the same thing as well.
That's
But
right.
I
We got to spread it out.
spread the word, definitely
Right.
spread the word. But I appreciate you,
Black male media.
I appreciate you, gentlemen, today taking time out of your busy schedules to discuss mental health. Today is Mental Health Day, World Mental Health Day. Actually, this week has been Mental Health Week from October 3rd to October 9th. So I may try to highlight this every year. We get together, maybe add on some more new guests to talk about the issue or whatever, to just put this information out there. But I thank you both so much. Frank Jordan, I know you're going to be a regular on our show with different topics or whatever. You're always great to have on the show. And Anthony, my main buddy, as far as everything. Right, I know, always chopping it up, and all of Urban Beats business as well. So I'm so glad we got a chance to get together today to do this. And we will circle back around again to do some more stuff. So thank y'all so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Be good, Brother Jordan.
Hey, man, it was good. That was a good show, Brother Anthony. Good. Very good, Rashawn.
Absolutely. Like I said, we're going to definitely be doing some more stuff. I'm just trying to get everything set up or whatever. Let's see, we got the event coming up on the 13th, and I got 3 more shows after this. But I'm just trying to keep the ball rolling.
Right? I know you're trying to get the ball rolling.
Yeah. Trying to keep the ball rolling and, still take time off with it. Because after I do these next 3 shows, we won't do any more shows probably till maybe April or May.
Wow. Sounds good. Sounds okay. We're going to do it. We're going to do it.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Hey, listen, anytime, give me a call and I'm here for y'all. Thank you.
Absolutely. Wait a minute. You got to tell him about his phone. I'm going to be devil's advocate. You got to tell him about his phone.
Tell him about his phone. Oh,
yeah.
I heard you was talking about I heard you was talking about my friend.
Don't leave that part out.
I'm gonna get you, Brother Jordan. I'm gonna get you. Don't talk about my friend Flintstone. I had to carve it myself to make sure it was good.
Hey, look, I told Rashawn, I said, listen, man, he got to take that back to the swap meet flea market, man, and get his money back, man.
Oh man, now I carved this and out of stone myself, so you got to blame it on me. You got to blame it on me. Yo, I'm gonna let y'all go. All right, I love y'all.
Okay, love you guys
too. I love you too, man.
All right,
thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.